Hey, it's Kevin. Welcome back to the Road Warrior. Forgive me for a second. I don't know if you're hearing that noise. I'm getting weird noise from the road. It's a combination, I'm sure, of my tires getting older and probably not having the air in them they should, as it gets that way in the winter months, versus just the nasty nature of the road I'm on. It's a busy day here on the road, and I'm not complaining about that. I've got a guy on my backside right now trying to get me to move, and it's like, guy, I don't know where I'm going. I got like 5 cars in front of me, and I don't want to be on their bumper. Oh, now he's realizing that he's, tailgating me where I can't go anywhere. The joys of heading down the road. People always ask, how do I do this while talking and paying attention to what's going on? And like I said, luckily, I can talk. I got the microphone clipped to me, so I don't really even notice it. It's just me talking. It's almost like talking to myself. I don't have a problem doing that. It's kind of like what you do in radio, where you're in a room and you're talking to people, yet you're not really seeing any of them necessarily. Now, if you're in a room where you got a morning show and you got 2 or 3 people side by side, that's one thing. But like I said, when I was a solo DJ, you're usually in a darkened room, maybe talking to some people on the phone or something like that. But for the most part, you're not really seeing or dealing with people. You're doing it to an empty microphone. So I'm kind of good and kind of used to that. The one thing, again, a lot of people still feeling a lot of stress, no matter what changes have gone on in U.S. politics over the course of the last, now month, 2, 3, however long you want to say there's been a change. Some will tell you it's been longer than that. But the one thing I've seen the need to do, bear with me here as I get out of this guy's way because he's a tad bit impatient, is laugh a little. And I know it's been tough for a lot of people to laugh a little. I found myself not laughing as much. And when I do laugh, I actually have to ask myself, is it appropriate to laugh? Some people will say something that's not supposed to be funny, but then they laugh and it's kind of uncomfortable. It's like they didn't mean to laugh there. It's just kind of a nervous impulse reaction. I found myself in a lot of those situations of late. They are weird times we're living in right now. Good, bad, indifferent. I don't necessarily have a lot to compare them to. I understand we went through a lot of social political upheaval and changes in the 60s. And while I was living, in theory then, I was a little kid. I didn't necessarily, while I understood, I didn't necessarily understand. Say what you will about the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. The weird years since the 2000s, the aughts, as we call them, still nobody knows how to address the 00s. Or the teens. We don't ever call them the 2010. We call them the 2010s. We don't call them the teens. Again, just weird things. But it's amazing. I've watched a lot of retro television of late. I go back and watch them. I've watched shows from, Hazel and the Jack Benny Show and Jack Burns. And I've seen most of these shows before, and I enjoy them at times, but not necessarily. But I'm just trying to get a feel for the world we lived in then. What was funny then? A lot of people watch the Flintstones. I watched the Flintstones as a kid on the cartoons, but I never really enjoyed them that much. There was something about the cartoon I never liked that much. And now you try to look at it from the view of, well, it was really, pretending to be prehistoric, but it was a play on what had been going on in the 50s and 60s in America. And it's kind of interesting to see where that humor, while still fits, can still be funny, isn't the same. But then I talked about this on my podcast a couple of weeks ago, about this sudden fascination with the TV show The Office, the American version, the Steve Carell version. Now, I know it moved from Netflix to Peacock, so it changed, so NBC, who owns Peacock, has been promoting the heck out of it. Okay, I get that. That's not a problem. But even before then, when it was on Netflix, I had friends who were just like constantly binge watching it. And it's on Comedy Central a lot, and they've constantly got episodes, flying and going. I'm like, well, okay, I don't mind, but I watched The Office when it was on primetime TV. I saw them all, and if there's an episode I like, I may stop and watch it, but I'm not going to sit there and binge watch The Office. Now, there are some recent era TV shows I will binge watch, but they're the kind of shows where they're silly, they're stupid, or I may notice, like, I watch a TV show called The League. It's about guys out of Chicago who are based on fantasy football. That's how they're friends. And recently I saw an episode, Leslie Jones had been on it. Well, when I watched it in real time back in the day on FX, I didn't realize Leslie Jones was there. I'm always looking for a way to laugh, and I think the hard part right now is finding the right laugh at the right time. Did that make sense? I want to laugh. I want to escape. But sometimes some things that are funny at one point aren't funny right now. You're running into that? Back next week, another Road Warrior, kevinmason.us, home to all the Road Warriors. We have them on YouTube. We have them on Facebook. Man, it's been a day. It's been a week. It's already been a year, hasn't it? See you next week with another Road Warrior. Thanks.